greatest of accomplishments, but he's doing it on many different champions. Santorin kind of came in and everybody's like, oh, he's one of Bjergsen's wards. Then he played on Energy for a bit. It was like, wait, still not that great. And then he's coming back. He's trying to get back in over and over again. And Mash is kind of like the line you would call him. He's the guy that everybody's like, he's definitely really good for Challenger, but in LCS, he seems to be one of the bottom 80 carries every time. This seems like a more motivated Mash to me, and somebody who's definitely playing a little bit more aggressive than I knew him to play.
And you even saw what we heard from Santorin before game number 4, where he said, you know, I've played in LCS before, I've done stuff like that, I've never actually had to fight through Challenger before. So to get to this point, like, they all really want to earn their way into NALCS and be there playing in Summer Split 2017, and all they've got to do is win this one single game to do it. But Team Liquid will stand in their way. The bans are done, mostly, here for this final match, as it's Rumble, Vlad, and Shen banned away by Liquid, who will be on the blue side. Goldcoin United from the red side, banning away the Graves, the Karthus, and the Lulu.
First pick, Camille. I assume for Lorlo. And this is Team Liquid. They got side selection in Game 5 because they were the higher seeded team coming in an LCS team, so they get 1, 3, and 5 for their selections. And I assume it's the Camille first pick here because the 2 games that you didn't have as dominant of a top lane matchup for yourself on TL's side, that's where Goldcoin United were able to play to multiple side lanes.
That's where bad stuff happened. But with Lorlo on that Camille again, he had 2 very convincing games the first time around. Well, the first half of this match, I should say. So having that again, definitely going to be a bonus for them as Goldcoin United decides to grab the Rengar and the Karma yet again.
Rengar and Karma really early on, and the fact that they had banned Karthus first round on their red side is interesting too, because they previously had banned it in their second rotation back in Game 3, and it was fine.
I feel like the difference between these situations, though, where they're going into game number 3, they just waited and banned it just to see if it would work. You know, it was a shot in the dark. It was your fading moment, whereas if you lost, the game was just over anyway. Now, subsequently in games 4 and 5, they were like, look, game number 3, that made a huge difference. We've got to keep doing this. And you have to recognize at that point that Liquid's like, hey, this made a huge difference. We can't let them keep doing this. Like, just get the Karthus ASAP.
Yeah, unless you have an answer for it, then it's very different. But this is very big here. The Renekton comes through, so Solo will have another comfort champion for him. Also a champion that kind of clobbers Camille in the one-on-one early on. She doesn't do well against big lane bullies like that. Eventually, they both fall into a similar split push and dive pattern. Now, because the Vladimir was banned, seems like that's what they get in exchange.
Well, we'll have to see what they can do with this Malzahar as well on the side of Team Liquid. Haven't seen that one in a while.
It had been banned by Team Liquid all 4 games.
Right.
So they finally get the Malzahar, the pick champion for themselves, in the second round. So it wasn't taken by Goldcoin United. They valued the Karma higher than that, and the Karma alongside 2 heavy physical damage divers.
Some real scary potential there as we get into the bans for the second time. Varus and Lucian banned away by Goldcoin United, taking those away from Double Lift, only focusing him in this second phase. As LeBlanc is banned away by Liquid, they just absolutely refuse to let Phoenix play this champion. They've got one more ban to take. Both sides having drafted top laners, having drafted junglers, having drafted supports. Means AD carry and mid is the name of the game here. Usually going to see the red side pick that AD carry, leave the mid laner for last, like we've mentioned previously.
Gotta ban something.
But Team Liquid will take Victor off the table.
So not banning Ahri, not banning Orianna, Cassiopeia, and it'll be the counter pick, I assume.
Right.
Go to Phoenix. I think it'll be the Ezreal. All right. Okay. Caitlyn's still on the table, though.
Double Lift has got to pull out all the stops here. Be the carry his team needs. You know, when they first picked up Double Lift, Liquid was like, all right, we're shooting for 6. We're going for playoff aspirations. Then after that, it was like, all right, we're shooting for 8. We're going to avoid the promotion relegation tournament. And now it's like, all right, we're going to win the promotion relegation tournament and get ourselves out of here. They had to temper those expectations as they went on, but Double Lift's somebody that they brought in to achieve their goals, no matter what those might be. And achieving that goal rides on him having a good Ashe performance this game.
Yeah. We were talking about riding on him. He's been pretty much the most consistent performer on this team during this series. And it's the lane mismatch. And you see Piglet nodding his head. Looks like it might be the game where he gets to play Ahri. Game 5, gets to go for comfort, picks the Ahri for himself. That's what they're putting their hands on.
Now remember that Piglet's Ahri was also aboard the struggle bus against the Vladimir from Phoenix in game number 3. That's what was allowing Goldcoin United to kind of run all over the place, was the weakness in that lane. So he's hoping he'll have a little bit better of a time this time around. Vladimir banned away means he won't have to play the same matchup, but he will have to go up against Phoenix's Cassiopeia.
Yeah, the Cassiopeia, actually very annoying to play against if you can land early poisons, which aren't always the easiest thing to do because of the movement speed that Ahri gets from the Orb of Deception. You can get a whole bunch of Twin Fangs down, and the possibility of a solo kill. You also have to watch out for that miasma when you're running through Spirit Rush.
Now, one thing I also want to point out, speaking of things that you have to watch out for this game, we even made a little point of it earlier, talking about the amount of ignites that were being taken there in that third game, the one that went so crazy. But this time around, both supports going to be going back to Old Faithful, Exhaust versus Exhaust in the mid lane. Phoenix running the Cleanse to deal with Ash Arrows, to deal with Ahri Charms. Of course, if he wants to get out of Malzahar ultis, he'll still have to buy a QSS because Cleanse does not remove suppression.
Yeah, get rid of that charm, though, if that's what Phoenix continues to use. Don't believe he swapped his summoner spell yet. As we're getting in there, this is the last time these coaches will shake hands on this stage unless they both make it in.
This is it. This is the moment. There's no more what ifs. There's no more maybes. There's no more, but we'll get them next time.
After this game, one of these two teams will be in the 2017 North American LCS.
And one of them will be playing tomorrow for another shot at the same title, but they'll have another best-of-5 to get through first. We're not actually going to tell you guys who they're playing against, because in case you wanted to watch the games and didn't catch them, you were hanging out here with us the whole time instead.
We didn't see them.
We're going to leave it up to you to watch the VODs and see for yourselves who ended up walking away with that victory on NALCS 2. But they will be up against one of these two in a best-of-5 tomorrow. But neither one of these two wants to be the one in that match. They want to be the ones watching from home, saying, boy, I'm glad that's not us.
Oh, yeah, and you don't know which team's going to exactly show up tomorrow. They might know the team, but I know the team, and I want to say that team pretty erratic.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little spontaneous.
Yeah. Don't know what type of day it is. Maybe they sleep on the right side of the bed.
Maybe they sleep on the floor.
Maybe.
Maybe a little bit of craziness happens.
Well, I guess that's what Challenger would be if you lose this match, but still, one of these teams, these two, is in. Is it welcome to the LCS for Goldcoin United?
Or welcome back to the LCS for Team Liquid. Nobody wanting to tempt fate early on in this game. Lines being drawn, river entrances being watched, players waiting patiently to see if anybody's going to try to start game number 5 off with some cheese. But it doesn't look like it. Santorin not going to take that ward down in time.
Minions have spawned.
Minions spawn, as you can see Reignover moving himself down towards the bottom part of his jungle as Team Liquid potentially preps an invade here. Mad Life and Mash moving up into their own jungle as well. Of course, they don't have Santorin down here. He's going to be starting towards his Raptor camp. Same thing can be said for Reignover. This start, pretty much the start these days.
Yeah, because the jungle item gives you more experience based on the camps that you kill, the creeps that you kill. And, of course, there's so many there, you just get level 2 off of the small ones, kill the bigger one, and you get even more experience than a normal camp.
One more hit.
Yep.
Smack it around and
Walk
good
away.
to go.
Yeah, always kite your camps towards your next one. Help your route out a little bit in terms of just cutting off a second or two. Maybe do that for every camp. You're saving like 7 seconds and you're there.
That's a whole lot of time.
Yep.
7 seconds can actually be the difference between a lot of things in League of Legends. This is a game of very small time windows, very close opportunities between being a hit or being a miss. 7 seconds is way longer than most of those windows will ever stay open.
Yeah, a lot of players don't even live for 7 seconds.
Yeah. You get into a team fight, you're probably going to have somebody dead before that mark ever hits.
Yeah, and so looking at these lanes and taking one final check-in on these, because Game 5, this is what these teams selected as their do-or-die champions, as their do-or-die compositions here.
And we talked about Lorlo. We talked about his performance on this Camille earlier and what this champion is capable of doing in his hands. How dominant he was. He was always the one saying, look, you've got to come answer me. Look, somebody's got to answer this split push. Nobody can do it. And how appropriate for game number 5, a perfect 50-50 split yet again.
insane. That's actually insane that both these teams have so much backing behind them. They're both playing with their heart on their sleeve, too. We're seeing advantages for Phoenix in the mid lane against Piglet, who's been struggling a bit this series. We see Doublelift doing well against Mash, but not as well anymore as he was earlier in the series.
I'm trying to remember, I believe it was you that I was talking to about Camille, and you said that some of the things that she struggles with can be the more solo QE type of opponent,
yes,
as opposed to the hard tanks. So stuff like the Renekton could give her more of an issue.
Yeah, some of the champions that she struggles with the most are Renekton, Tryndamere, champions that are solo Q-esque and that trade really well, because she's not actually an early game bully like kill you in lane. She's got great gank assist in closing the gap, but she also has good trading power against tanks and people who aren't really going to blow her up. But she can outright die to something like a Renekton early.
Solo, you mentioned also in the previous match that Rumble and Renekton are the two champions that you know him the most for. A guy who's very ferocious on both of those. You saw what he was able to do with the Rumble in game number 4. If his Renekton is as good as that, then Lorlo and the rest of Liquid are going to have to be very aware, very respectful of what he can accomplish with this champion in the top lane. Yeah. Nobody really running away with any early gold leads just yet. A couple of times we've seen a couple hundred gold showing up here and there, but this game, everything's being kept real close.
I have to say that this bottom lane is kind of impressing me because Mash is doing much better than most people know him or think his reputation would say of him, because he's actually holding up against Doublelift and Matt. Madlife is doing a decent amount of work in this lane too, and they're going even in most of these games. And we're seeing Mash go for those crazy plays too.
And Piglet's not falling behind in farm in the mid lane. He's actually doing a good job just staying caught up with Phoenix. You expect to see that be the weakness here of Team Liquid. You expect Piglet to fall behind Phoenix a little bit if he's not on the Karthus. But so far, that's not been the case. We'll have to see if that stays that way as the lane goes further and further on, because you know that as Cassiopeia gets more levels, more abilities, things get a lot more fearsome.
Ooh, nice block there. That was a Mantra Q from Madlife, blocked by a Voidling from Matt at the same time. Matt's running low on resources here. So is Doublelift, but Madlife actually still in an okay spot.
And you know, we did make it harder to be able to block things with the crab spawn because they actually match the animation now, but it is still doable.
You have to be a little bit more predictive than reactive. So as soon as the Karma walked up, he's like, okay, he just looks like he wants to hit me here, so we'll go for it.
Good read coming out of Matt against the person who, like we mentioned in game number 1, inspired his name. It's always a tall order. Playing against the guy that you legit named yourself after.
I mean, he is Matt Life. I was like, his parents weren't inspired by Mad Life to name him Matt.
No, I know that. I'm not saying it. Parents.
No. My brain went there, so I was like, oh yeah, it's parents, big fans.
No, back in the hospital, 20 years ago, or however old Matt is.
Dad saw a Thresh Hook and
he just saw a Thresh Hook and he knew what he had to do. He knew what his son's purpose in life would be. And it was to land those hooks. Kind of sad we didn't get to see Thresh out of either one of these two today.
But get those picks, and he's on another pick-type champion here on the Malzahar. So as soon as he hits that level 6, see if he goes for those plays. Matt, a guy that's talked about how he struggles a little bit with nerves this split on stage. And now, this is the moment where those nerves can definitely get to you.
It's also the moment where it could be the time that you prove that you can beat that. Where you prove that you are going to come in the clutch and be one of the reasons that your team can walk away with the 3-2 series win here. We know that Malzahar is one of those champions that's capable of absolutely snowballing the game in his team's favor. You've seen flash ults that just end up resulting in team fights and Baron plays and inhibitors and all kinds of stuff. So if there's one champion that you can start snowballing and taking control with, it is this Malzahar.
Yeah, and I'm looking for who has the trigger finger that is not completely stone in this game 5, because a lot of people freeze up. They'll say, all right, I'm not doing it. I'm not flashing forward because
playing safe.
He could be here.
Playing safe, play back.
Yep. And everybody will do that. And we're even seeing this is a little bit slower than the other games in terms of kills. We've seen people at each other's throats this early on, calling for ganks, calling for dives top lane. And Solo, you can see he's actually improved a bit on how he's approaching these matchups against Rainover too, because he's factoring him a little bit more into the equation.
Solo and Lorlo just going blow for blow up here in the trades, in the farm, in everything. These two are equally matched. Santorin just still moving through his own jungle. Level 7 available for him, level 6 on Reignover, so both of these two have ultimates ready to go if they find themselves in a fight. Reignover currently very low on HP though, so likely not getting involved in anything anytime soon. Not until he backs at least. Also, both have gone with the Tracker's Knife, so plenty of extra warding, extra vision control here in game number 5.
Yeah, just seems to be stylistically what these guys go for. Reignover and Santorin, more vision and teamfight focused junglers than a lot of North American junglers who just...
It's not the carry style, it's not the duel style, it's not the 1v1 style. It's the kind of style where you win by setting up advantages for your team as a whole. Solo zoning Lorlo away, now building up a little bit more of that CS discrepancy as arrow is fired off.
Is that a hit on Casio?
Oh my goodness, that flash.
Yeah, he
barely got him away.
Took exhaust instead of the cleanse, so had to blow the flash. So that's the summoner spell change that he made at the last second there. So make sure he doesn't get all-in by the Ahri. And that was a great arrow, would have landed true.
That was an awesome shot. It was just an equally awesome reaction time from Phoenix to get himself away from that one. Would have surely been first blood going over to Team Liquid, likely over to Piglet. As Reignover wants to pass this blue buff off. No issue passing it away that time. Not going to have an issue like we did with the Karthus.
And I think that dodge of the arrow was actually really blind. Yeah, it was actually completely blind. That's, oh my god.
Had like a quarter of a second to react to it. And there you go.
Yeah.
He does it. There's a reason he's in the he's fighting to be in the LCS.
They had complete control wards throughout the river, and Doublelift fired the arrow, and the only time that Phoenix got to see the arrow at all was when it was right there inside that little torch.
Both these mid laners now have their blue buff. They can both spam spells to their heart's desire. Piglet at the point now where he's able to shove this up pretty effectively. Phoenix is keeping as much distance as he can, doesn't want to be hit by the charms or the orbs or anything. Only takes the front end of that one. The Twin Fang heal will be enough to bring him right back up along with the level up. Reignover top side though. Might be able to put the pain onto Solo, who can't get himself away from the Hextech ultimatum, trying to turn things back around instead. Can't Phoenix now going to be ulted. Matt making the plays, Piglet making the damage. And that's going to be a 2-0 game for Team Liquid, coming up big.
Yeah, and Mad Life gets pushed away. This is Piglet, with the help of Matt, taking over mid lane in the 5th game.
This is what we said we wanted to see. We wanted to see these Team Liquid players step up if they wanted to find the win here. And both of these two have done it so far to start this game off.
Yeah, the backs came through, and we saw both supports roam towards the mid, but Matt on the Malzahar that's been banned away by TL the whole series, they're going to get themselves that kill, and they're going to get this first turret with Soul Gold going over to Piglet for 650. Nice slow there from Lorlo, but then Reignover came through, was able to avoid the vision, and then Solo was just too far forward. And right there, the flash, I believe after the charm, and great turn away from Piglet in that moment. He turns away, the exhaust comes down onto him, but then he still has a Spirit Rush left, and that went to Doublelift.
That was really close, though.
Yep.
Mash was almost able to grab that with the Mystic Shot, but timing just one auto attack off. Team Liquid now with over a 1,000 gold lead, 2-0, 1 turret to 0. That's the nicest part about grabbing that kill in the mid lane. Not only do you get the kill, you get the turret off the back of it, which is so much more money.
Yeah, and when we were looking at these previous games, it was Reignover would gank top, get Lorlo ahead. Great. Then they would have Piglet struggle in mid, and then they would eventually free up bottom. It's the opposite now. Piglet was losing his turret constantly to Phoenix, even when he was in losing matchups and winning matchups. Didn't matter. Now, he's the one who gets the first turret. Now Piglet's open to roam. They get control of the Drake, they get control of bottom side, and this bottom turret can be where TL starts putting their efforts.
One thing I want to go ahead and point out, the QSS purchased for Phoenix right now, saying that's the only time I'm letting that happen. I am going to shut that down 100% next time. Matt is no longer allowed to do this, not on me.
Yeah, the fact that the Ash Arrow was what he had to flash in the first place, and then that came through. The QSS will get some good value here because Phoenix seems to be the target of the bottom lane. We talked about how everybody was going to the bottom lane in that 4th game. This game, bottom lane's going elsewhere. Bottom lane is showing up and making sure that they can get those picks. And look at that, because they got complete vision control off of that mid turret onto the right side of the jungle, bottom turret goes down with ease.
Bam, 2 turrets to 0, 2,500 gold lead. Team Liquid now looking to turn that into a Drake for themselves. Mountain Drake up and fighting here with Reignover, who's level 8 compared to the 9 of Santorin. But I don't see Santorin or anybody from Gold Point United looking to contest this one. The Crabs will do the tanking, Reignover will do the spanking, and the Dragon goes into the bank. And
they got it. Got the end in there.
Had to, somehow. I realized, I was like, wait a second, that's not weird.
I was as soon as you said bank, I was like, in, go.
Yep,
get it in there.
We got it, it's in there. All right.
But yes, so Solo still ahead in CS on the top side. Down, though, because he got ganked in terms of kills and deaths. And now they're rotating this up. Doublelift and Matt will now go to the top side. There's no Drake to play for. The standard play to actually rotate your bottom lane, your turret killers, your turret pushers, to the lane that still has that available turret to take down, whereas GCU still behind in tempo.
But the guys that kill the turrets in the part of the map that's got the turrets, that's the name of the game right now for Team Liquid. Lorlo starting to fall significantly behind in farm, though, but you can say the same thing for MASH. Mad Life hanging around top side. He and MASH do have to answer this lane swap that's coming out from Team Liquid. They'll go ahead and send Solo back down there to bottom lane to continue being a nuisance for Lorlo, continue trying to keep him away from that farm, build up that CS lead for himself. Lorlo not going for the early Tiamat this time around, instead just going straight for the Trinity Force for the 1v1 power as Solo goes for that Black Cleaver.
Yeah, him getting pushed in is actually a good thing, so not going for the Tiamat against the Renekton is ideal. You want the HP of the Phage to keep you alive. You want the Spell Blade so that you can trade effectively, and you want the extra armor from having the Ninja Tabi very early on to reduce that damage. So the Tiamat is actually kind of, I would say, counterintuitive in the matchup because you don't want to push against the Renekton because then he farms and he freezes you. You want to stay under your turret because then I think that Camille's like pretty deadly underneath her own turret.
Oh yeah, because ultimatum the guy.
You can ultimatum the guy. You can always use E hookshot to close the gap and chase them down if you get a gank. So the fact that Solo's like this far up, it's a long lane for him, a short one for Lorlo, but he has long gap closers.
He also has Santorin hanging out down here, who now shows himself. But with those two saying, hey, we've got two guys bottom lane, Team Liquid says, all right, we'll just go ahead and trade these off. Go 3 for 1 overall in the turret count. Doublelift has to back off, wait for one more minion wave, though. Which means Gold Coin United's going to be grabbing their objective first.
Oh, Santorin pulled aggro. This is actually going to delay this.
Ooh.
Now going to go in, keep him underneath turret.
This could be very interesting.
And here comes
Lorlo's trying to fight.
Arrow and Piglet.
Crystal Arrow down here onto the targets. Piglet's going to be moving in. One is dead. Number 2, I don't know if you're going to be getting away anytime soon. Phoenix looking to come in, find that petrifying gaze. Instead, it's going to be turned around on. Lorlo making sure he averts his eyes and walks himself away. A 1 kill traded for that 1 turret bottom side. But of course, the trade also happened top side as the turret was taken by Liquid, and they now push onto the T2.
And there's going to be some turret damage here as well. Below half HP after that. Big win for Team Liquid off of that.
Team Liquid now up 3,000 gold 16 minutes in. Here's what happened bottom.
Yeah, this is an Ash Arrow all the way from across the map. It's already been fired at this point, I believe. And this, a bola, you shouldn't be throwing that bola. There we go. There's the arrow. It's coming across now. Hextech ultimatum. Keep him in the baby cage.
Lock him up.
And the baby rage comes through as it hits. And then Piglet was already rotating a little bit faster than the Cassiopeia. It's one of the big advantages of having that mid lane turret down. Phoenix has to play on the back foot, and then you get to roam a little bit faster. But that was just insane. Santorin should not be throwing that bola there, but it's punished because of the changes to the turret back in the beginning of Season 7, where it will acquire you and have the call for help, even if the person is out of normal turret range that you attacked.
And Solo got blown up so fast in that fight, he never even got to trigger dominance. He would have liked to, might have been able to buy himself an extra second, but instead he just goes down before it can even be done. Reignover now clearing out this bottom side Scuttle Crab. Only 1 Drake still taken, the next one not going to be available for a few minutes still. But he's moving into enemy territory, he's close to that level 11, close to that second evolution. Doublelift pushing up bottom side, knowing his jungler and his support are both nearby. He can push up, feel safe, feel comfortable doing it, and continue to put damage into these tier 2s.
Yeah, it's going to be about half HP again. Doublelift has actually gone for the different Ashe build now. The original one that we were seeing in this patch was the Blade of the Ruined King, Runance Hurricane, Black Cleaver. Guy's going old school. He's going for Runance Hurricane into Infinity Edge at this point is what I would believe he would go for.
It looks that way.
So he's just going for those high damage, not so much caring about like how many people he hits or anything like that. He's got Warlord's Bloodlust for lifesteal. So he's just looking at those big damage numbers, trying to carry.
Gold Coin United trying to catch this gold lead up a little bit here. They're doing it very, very slowly, but the thing is, they're still 0 to 3. There's still 1 turret to 3.
Yeah.
0 dragons to 1.
The big thing, though, is when you're trying to catch up in the gold lead, got to make sure not to catch those hands, too, because TL, they're really deadly to engage on right now. Gotta look out. Even though Lorlo is, like, down 50 CS right now, you look across at the work that Double has been doing, 40 CS advantage for himself, and Lorlo's actually only about 400 gold down, even though that's a huge amount of CS to be behind. And he's about to complete Trinity Force, a huge spike for the Camille.
Team Liquid is brute forcing tier 2 turrets at 18 minutes into the game. That's a very telling sign that you are completely in control.
Yeah, that's called accelerate the game, baby. Another arrow, almost there.
All right, that one's gonna go wide, and since that's now down, Santorin and Solo feel plenty fine about taking down this tier 1 turret. Catches them up a little bit. 2 to 4 now in that overall count.
QSS from Phoenix got blown there, and the Drake is about to come up. It is a Cloud Drake, so we might not see as many people fight over that. Shooting out the back, how did she do it?
There we go. Good stuff, Double Whiffed. Grabbing that one for himself. Gonna be that much more deadly in this next fight should one happen, but like you said, might not even be a fight for it.
QSS also for Solo in the top lane here. Everybody's just having to pay the Malzahar tax. It's on the enemy team. You gotta buy some QSSs. Those inventories are also attacked. And so it takes up that slot, so you're maybe not as powerful as you would be, because he's dumping pretty much his gold lead into buying that QSS here, so it's not helping him out against Lorlo at all.
The farm difference, or the gold difference overall between these two in the top lane is only 300 anyway.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So if you've got to drop 1,300, well, it's 500 now, but if you got to drop 1,300 on that QSS, that still puts you 800 in the hole.
Yeah.
That item doesn't do anything. Well, I guess you can cleanse a hook shot stun against Lorlo, but otherwise it's not going to do anything against Lorlo.
Yeah, no magic damage on that kit.
Well, wait, the on-hit damage from the ulti. That's magic
That's
damage.
true. That is true.
So it'll reduce that very
Maybe it'll help him out here. Ulti, QSS,
right,
get out of there!
QSS away from it, but problem is the Hextech ultimatum is right there.
Yep.
And there is no way out of that.
Can't QSS that. And Solo is going back to the way he was performing and getting camped by Reignover and the rest of the team in games 1 and 2. It was a winning formula for Team Liquid. They had side selection, they chose blue, and they got that Camille first pick, and now Reignover set it up once again. Despite the Renekton as the matchup, it got enough attention that you're seeing this Camille thrive.
Team Liquid getting back into the form we saw them in game numbers 1 and 2. Looks like this Camille was very critical to their success. It wasn't just the Karthus, it was both solo lane picks. And Goldcoin United, in letting one of those through, has allowed the Team Liquid machine to get closer to working the way that it did earlier. Goldcoin, though, not to say that they don't have options of their own. You've got the Cassiopeia, you've got the Ezreal, you got plenty of damage capability. The problem is that Renekton 0, 3, and 0.
Yeah, you scale all right as well if you're Goldcoin United, but you do have to worry about Team Liquid scaling. They have somebody who's going to actually deal damage as a support. They have an Ashe who will buy crit items as opposed to the Ezreal, and they have a Camille who's going to outscale your Renekton in the top lane. Cassiopeia, fantastic, but we'll see if it's enough, and if Goldcoin United can actually hold on long enough to the point where Phoenix becomes relevant. Because he got kind of shut down early.
And I mean, it's not like Solo's weak right now, right? He's doing a fantastic job farming. He's 50 up over his lane opponent. He's very relevant. The thing is, though, you just need to be more than relevant early game on a Renekton. You need to be impactful. You need to be this force of nature, but he's just not it right now.
And you saw Santorin try to give him a gank, too. He came up to the bush, but it was warded already by Lorlo, who played really well on the back foot, and then was able to turn it around. So he was kind of baiting Solo into pushing him. It's kind of one of those pretend like you're wounded, bait him in. But yeah, Trinity Force completed. Camille just has an enormous power spike when she gets Trinity Force, and then you have a Tiamat completed item on top of it. The damage, it just feels like night and day difference as well.
Well, Solo's not going to be feeling that quite yet, with still only the Trinity Force done on Lorlo's Camille. So he's still got some time left, but the problem is he's not exactly super huge in his own right. He's got the Black Cleaver, he's got the QSS, but still would like to get another one up and running by the time that that completed Tiamat evolution comes online. With a Ruby Crystal in Lorlo's inventory, looks like we are going to be seeing that Titanic that you said comes out 75, 80% of the time.
Yeah, Ravenous Hydra is kind of the exception to the rule. You don't see it that much unless somebody's really trying to just have a one-on-one and almost never team fight. But this here, I think you can get some picks. I feel like you can push a little bit better against this Renekton. Speaking of pushing, Piglet with the Lich Bane, I talked about he loves to go for that.
Oh, yeah.
Going for it second as well. So he gets to do a decent amount of damage to turrets. And also, you know,
The extra auto attacks weaved in there.
He likes to weave those in. As an AD carry player, former AD carry player,
It's his nature.
he's always going to get those autos in.
They're definitely going to have some sting to him now that he's got that item.
This is like, both teams are saying, do Baron. You won't.
We dare you to.
Check this bush. You won't.
I wish you would.
You won't.
Nope, they won't.
They checked
That's
it.
the problem. Everybody's right.
But yeah, they're trying to bait the Baron from TL side, or at least set up the mental war of the Baron bait, where you bait it 3 times, and you're not actually doing it, and then eventually you just do it.
Coin United, popping the mantra Inspire, moving out into their own territory, trying to clear out some of these wards, chase their opponents away a little bit.
Yeah, Solo over here as well, so he'll have to run down to the bottom side of the map. This gives Lorlo an advantage to not have to use his teleport to get to this fight, and now he'll have a few seconds to kind of flank.
This is the Lorlo game. This is what we saw in games 1 and 2. Solo's on response duty.
Yep.
Right where they want him to be as Rain over Double Lift and Matt decide that it's time to go. Pull the trigger on the Baron, see what you can find.
They have a Mountain Drake as well. That's going to check it. Matt, half HP. Piglet actually...
Bad Life! Oh, Piglet! There you go. All right, now coming right back into the fight. Phoenix QSS is too early. A double kill for Piglet.
Yeah, and that means they might turn back onto that Baron here. Santorin's still up. I don't know if they'll actually go for this. Matt
He has no ulti.
really low.
Santorin has
Piglet
no
will
ulti.
zone.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and start it up. Matt being low isn't exactly a huge thing. They're going to have him waiting off to the side, I guess.
Yeah,
Ready to use the ult if he needs to.
they can't find the way in just yet. And that's
Got
going
a
to be...
shield up. That's Baron. Team Liquid 24 minutes in.
TL has had just a chokehold on this game since they got those first 2 kills, the one top and the one mid. That checked it, almost chunked out Matt. Matt goes to the back of the pit, and he runs around it, almost gets killed there, has to blow his flash to actually not die. And then that right there, Phoenix has to QSS, or he tries to QSS, the initial hit there from the Camille for the stun, for the hook shot, but the arrow hits immediately afterwards, and he's just done at that point.
Team Liquid so strong right now. 6,500 gold lead, 25 minutes in. Baron up on all 5 members. Still 0 kills on the board for Gold Coin United as the Liquid push continues down mid lane. These tier 2s that I was talking about earlier that they were pressuring at 18 minutes, they're going to continue that now 25 in.
Yeah, this might be a nice split push here, and Lorlo actually deviating from what we thought he was going to do. He's like, I just need some more HP. Turns that into a Giant's Belt, which doesn't go into Titanic, and starts picking himself up a Vampiric Scepter here. So he's going to be going for the Ravenous Hydra. Just looking for more split push ability.
I mean, hey, if they pick a Renekton, if they pick somebody that normally likes to fight in 1v1s, why not excel at 1v1s? Why not push him out of his own game?
Yeah, pretty sure you beat him at this point.
Oh, Phoenix might die. Phoenix, Piglet might die as well. Redemption comes in to make sure it's going to be a one-sided one.
I mean, Piglet's 3 levels up. He is crushing
Piglet
Phoenix.
is 5-0-1 and decided to just take this game into his own hands. Make sure that his team was going back into NALCS in summer 2017. Santorin popping the ulti.
You never know what to expect. Piglet was getting crushed over and over again, and he brought out the Karthus, had a leg to stand on, and now he goes back to the Ahri to comfort. They pick the Cassiopeia into it. They seemed confident. It was doing well, and then these kills, the Ash Arrow that came mid for the flash, sets up Piglet to do well. And now they have an inhib at 26 minutes.
Team Liquid have taken Inhibitor 26 minutes in. They're pressuring number 2. The turret has no chance whatsoever. Inhibitor itself gonna fall just as easily. Solo trying to ult, maybe get something going on, but it's just not gonna happen. Liquid is already out.
Their engage is quite poor on the side of GCU. It's like a teleport flank. Maybe you get Rengar in there, but you want to counter engage, and that's what you want to do is have that Cassiopeia throw the ultimate out. But look at this. In the bush. Nope. Oh, he threw the charm, knowing he was in there, turned away, and hit Phoenix and destroyed him. Piglet
like a book.
Playing like a man possessed.
That was just phenomenal. Holy moly. Man, I wish I could do that. Maybe then I'd play champions other than Skarner. Arrow comes out.
Dream.
Doesn't hit anything. Goes for Phoenix, though. Will slither himself away. He does have his QSS up and ready to use.
Yeah, but that's still not enough to save him
No,
right now.
absolutely not.
You're talking about item disadvantages. It's 2 items with a QSS and components here up against 3 completed items, boots on top of it, and an needlessly large rod. Piglet is destroying this game.
this is kind of what it looked like the other game. With the Ari versus Vlad game, this is how Phoenix felt. Now Piglet is the one who's in control. Phoenix is the one who just has to play on his back foot and say, look, you get to play your game. I'm just here to try to recover.
And TL has changed it up so much. You think about games 1 and 2, it was, hey, play to top, make sure that you get Camille going. Games 3 and 4, it was kind of like avoid mid during games 1 and 2. Games 3 and 4, it was like, okay, maybe we kind of skirmish around top and bot. This game, it was send arrows mid, send Matt mid, flash ulti, try to get Piglet fed, and it's worked so far.
Both top laners just expended their ultimates there. Solo nearly killed. Lorlo disengaging with Hextech Ultimatum as soon as he saw help coming to keep Solo there. But without those ultis up, that means Solo's not going to be nearly as threatening in this next team fight. Also means that Lorlo will not be able to keep somebody locked down in place. Wavestare continuing to come through for Goldcoin United, but Piglet's going to work his way right there into the fight. QSS coming out, Redemption coming down. Another charm fired off, the minions cleared away, Santorin popping the ultimate. Liquid will not be able to get themselves into the enemy base through this time just yet. But there's minions coming in through the other lanes. Remember that. These super minions will not stop, and they create a constant problem for Goldcoin United to answer.
Yeah. Lorlo didn't stop turret aggro just yet. There you go. Walks back out. And now he gets to threaten these turrets. He gets to threaten the backline. He gets to threaten the dive here. Hit
There's your ulti. QSS not ready to go, and that is going to be all she wrote. The health bars are gone before they can even do anything about it. 3 dead on Goldcoin United, and Team Liquid will end this game.
TL, welcome back to the LCS. They barely left it, and now they're in.
They barely had to even step away. They stepped right back in. They're glad to be out, they're happy, they are excited, and they have no reason not to be. They just secured their spot for Summer 2017.
And they did it in style. The scoreline at the end, 10-0. They didn't give up a single kill to Goldcoin United. They deserve the LCS spot.
Absolutely do. In a series that was so close, in a starting, very convincing 2 games, to 2 not so convincing games, to the final one being an actual shutout. Well played to Team Liquid. Congratulations. Welcome back. What a series, though, Zirene. You can't look at this series and say it started off the way it looked after game number 1 and then especially game number 2. It was looking like we might see the Team Liquid 3-0. It was looking like it might just be like, oh, okay, Liquid's just going to run away with this one. But Goldcoin United, they put up one hell of a fight.
And you saw the experience and the teamwork from TL take them to that next level. We talked about LCS teams. Sure, great individuals, but is the teamwork a little bit better with a team that has a roster kind of shaken up every now and then and kind of swapping people around? Well, right there, we saw arrows to mid to help Piglet. We saw Matt flash ulting to help Piglet. We saw Reignover ganking for top in different games. We saw them actually focusing bot. So they played 3 really distinct different strategies on what lane they were going to play to throughout this best of 5. So it wasn't a one-dimensional play style from this team that has those individual players who could carry the game, but they saw opportunities to change it up, which is really telling that TL is a team that could be much stronger than what they were showing us.
And honestly, adaptation is such an important trait, especially now that we're getting into these games. Like, you know, we've got this now, we've got playoffs coming up. Of course, neither one of these teams will be playing in playoffs this split, but in general, you've got to be able to play a best of 5. You've got to be able to adapt to what the enemy team is doing, to what you've got to take on the next game. You saw the adaptations from Goldcoin United as well, saying, okay, the Karthus, no, this isn't going to work. We've got to get rid of this. And then just back and forth. It's always fun to see those mind games between the teams as they're thinking, what is your next move and how do I stay just one ahead of it?
Yeah, it might have been a little late on the adaptation to the Karthus because they let it through for 2 games, and then for the rest of the series, games 3, 4, and 5, GCU playing on the back foot, playing with their backs against the wall because they could only lose 1 match and that was it. There was no more room for early mistakes like in this game.
Well, let's not pretend like GCU is down and out, though, because remember, they still get 1 more shot. Tomorrow, it's going to be them versus the winner of the series that was on stream number 2 between E United and Envy. And the winner of that best of 5 will then move on to join Team Liquid in the NALCS in summer of 2017.
Yeah, and right now we were talking about how the NALCS, the bottom 2 teams, look like the 2 best bottom 2 teams we had in the NALCS, where it was a lot of parity. TL, they came in, a little rocky during the middle parts, but it could have been a 3-0. Ends up going 5, but they show in that last game that they deserve the spot.
All right, well, to hear more about the series, we're going to go ahead and head stage side where Kobe has an interview